It's Not Okay to Feel Blue and Other Lies, curated by Scarlett Curtis. Read by Scarlett Curtis, Paapa Essiedu, Shvorne Marks, Adam Kay, Miranda Hart, Rosa Mercuriadis, Saba Asif, Trayvon Free, Robert Kazanjian, Ella Purnell, Hannah Witten, Honey Ross, Jonah Freud, Kachenga, Matthew Columculum, Megan Crabb, Michael Kitching, Mitch Price, Nadia Craddock, Alexis Court, Ella Purnell, Scotty, Sharon Shalkin Feldstein, Bernie Feldstein, Professor Tanya Byron, Jamie Windust, Maggie Matic, Shona Marie, Gemma Stiles, Hussein Manawa, Jack Rook, Joe Irwin, Kate Weinberg, Johnny Benjamin, Jamie Fluck, Kelechi Okafor, Lauren Mahan, Hannah Witten, Eve Delaney, Khalil Aldabas, Yusuf Al-Majari. Trigger Warning. Written and read by Scarlett Curtis, journalist and activist.
This book is intense. Words and images can be powerful. The entire reason we've created this book is because we believe that words have the power to comfort, provoke, and create feeling. Words and images can be used for good, but they can also, through no fault of the writer or creator, cause extreme pain. One of the most intense panic attacks of my life happened while I was watching a play of George Orwell's 1984. It was a beautiful, powerful production, but the experience of seeing someone being tortured and gaslighted on stage for 30 minutes was a little too much for my brain to handle at the time. I should have known better. I mean, it was 1984, but I didn't quite think it through, and since then I've been a little more careful with the content I consume. People like to argue that trigger warnings are a new phenomenon, a symptom of an overly emotional generation who need comfort blankets and hand-holding. In fact, the concept of trigger warnings began in the 60s when PTSD, then known as shell shock, emerged as a medical condition to diagnose soldiers suffering with symptoms of trauma after the Vietnam War. Around the same time, feminist activists began to develop a language around trigger warnings and safe spaces to help women who'd been sexually abused avoid re-experiencing symptoms such as flashbacks and intrusive thoughts. Today, trigger warnings are used to protect vulnerable people from content that might re-traumatize them. There aren't many things I get very angry about in this world. I tend to be quite a passive person. But the criticism of trigger warnings is something that makes me see red, blow smoke out of my ears, and transform into a feminist Hulk. If you think a trigger warning is an inconvenience or that it in some way disrupts the purity of art, I'd like you to think for just a minute about how much more of an inconvenience it is to have to worry that you're going to be plunged back into the worst moment of your life every time you read a book, watch the news, or go to the cinema. To be triggered is not to be whiny or precious. It is to be shot in the gut with a memory too painful for your body to withstand. To be triggered is to be flung back in time without any tools available to pull yourself back out. Some days, engaging with a piece of art that reminds you of your trauma can be a beautiful thing. It can make you feel less alone, and there's a specific kind of beauty that only comes from seeing your experiences reflected back at you. But other days, it can be too much to handle. You might be tired, a bit upset, or simply not in the mood. On days like that, it's okay to close the book, switch off the TV, leave the cinema. If you've ever found yourself getting frustrated at a trigger warning, if you've ever said to yourself, God, people are just too sensitive these days. If you've ever rolled your eyes at PC language or tutted at someone's careful use of pronouns, I'd like to say one thing. Please shut up for a minute. Trigger warnings are not a symptom of an oversensitive society. They are a much-needed sign that our culture is finally catching up to the real and urgent needs of those who suffer from trauma or PTSD. So this book is
Sample complete. Ready to continue?